While in the depths of a mid-2000s performance car identity crisis, caused in part by California's new smog-killing poster car, yes, called the Prius, Toyota was called to close the infamous GT-Four chapter of their diamond-littered homologation past with a turbo hatchback that would appeal to the masses. The problem was, their rally days were long gone. The GT-Four name was associated with these sounds. Not this sound. There was a thick layer of dust on the trophy shelf. You know, the uphill battle was fought yesterday, and the complacency clearly was beginning to set in. So how did Toyota implant that motorsport spark while their feet were up and the stakes low? Well, of course, they brought in a legendary development and test driver fresh off of the heels of the Mark IV Supra. The Caldina GT-Four N was born. Okay, you guys, what is up? This is a 2002 Toyota Caldina GT-Four. It is a third generation Caldina, and it was the final car, the final Toyota with the GT-Four name. It's a bit of a strange car. You don't see these very often. This is the first time, in fact, actually really poking around one of these and really looking around. It's kind of cool. It's a really cool car. But it's interesting for a number of reasons. Not only just because it is powered by the iron block 3S GTE 2-liter turbocharged inline-4, of course, that also powered the SW20 MR2 and a few other vehicles. Of course, the Celica, or Celica, if you want to pronounce it that way. The 3S GTE here was powering a number of cars at the time, and this is probably the most pedestrian car that it was powering. It's got good power though. It's at 0.7 bar of boost roughly at about 80% throttle. Yeah, a little bit of blow off noise there, a little bit of turbo flutter. A little bit of turbo spool. I mean, it's really fast. It's really fast. It doesn't feel like much of the power is getting lost to the automatic. A little bit, for sure. There's definitely a disconnect in the throttle pedal. You know, we never see these cars around. This is the first time I'm ever seeing one. They're legal to import here in Canada. But we never really see these cars around, so here I am thinking, hey, it's a GT-Four. This has, you know, when I think of GT-Four, I think of ST205, or at least the last GT-Four I drove, the ST205 GT-Four hauling ass on a dirt road. Rally driving, rally stage driving, a robust car that you can beat on without having to worry about the thing blowing up, you know, and falling apart. This was only ever offered in an automatic 4-speed. Yeah, it has Tiptronic, but there's no saving grace there, okay? And that just puzzles me because the SW20 MR2, it only had about 20 less pound-feet of torque than this car. And the worry was, according to Toyota, that a manual wouldn't have been able to handle the roughly 250 pound-feet of torque that this version, Gen 4 version of the 3S GTE puts down. It has 260 horsepower. You can stick close to 300 to 350 wheel horsepower, or about 300 pound-feet of torque, I should say, through that 5-speed with no issues. Factory LSD, viscous, transaxle, of course, in the MR2, but they hold the torque, and this has much less than that, so I just don't, the logic doesn't really hold up. I think there's a lot of excuses in this car. There are a few really cool things with the N Edition, though. You do also get these Recaro seats, which are fantastic. They've got adjustable lumbar via this old school. This is some of the 90s charm kind of shining through. You've got these air pumps here to pump up the adjustable lumbar, and then you hit the button and it kind of compresses back to its initial state, which is really cool. It looks like a Toyota Matrix or a Pontiac Vibe, which is funny also because the owner of this car actually has owned both of those other two cars. Which I thought, I got a bit of a chuckle out of that. I'm like, that's kind of funny, because they look very similar. We are running on snow tires today. I believe it's about 215s up front. Steering's light. It's light, it's pedestrian, but it's direct. The ratio's good. It's got that GT-Four steering rack ratio. It's really quick rack. Not quite as quick as something like a Skyline R33 or R34, GTST or GTT. The differentiating aspects that you get with the N spec versus a traditional or a standard GT-Four are you get different dampers, a little bit stiffer suspension. Of course, this is all-time all-wheel drive. It's a GT-Four. It's got a viscous center differential, sending power to all four wheels. And then in the rear, only with the N spec, you get a Torsen LSD in the rear. So handles a little bit better, it's a little bit stiffer, and then at the front you have a strut tower brace, which has kind of a piece that is actually flexible and has some give in the center of it, and that was in fact originally designed so that it was more catered towards the back roads, the B roads of Germany. Like, Marcus, you're driving a right-hand drive, a vehicle that was only sold in Japan, but you're saying that it was developed for Germany? Well, yes. To put it simply, the Caldina N was hopped up just on pure experience, plain and simple. It was named after lead development driver Hiromu Naruse. Not because it was another passion project of his, filled with years of friction between engineering and design, but rather as a recognition of his life's work up until that point. The pressure of homologation just wasn't there. As much as I think of the A80 Supra as a straight-line beast, that was the first time he was able to stretch his legs on the Nürburgring in pursuit of a car's development. From that moment on, he was addicted. I mean, if we could call it a sidestep in this man's incredible dedication to the craft, the GT-Four N was that project where I'd imagine the team was constantly, pulling him away from the ring to hit the back roads around the ring where the Caldina belonged, a car built on his lunch break. Considering his hands were all over the 2000 GT, AE86, AW11 MR2, the Altezza, and MR2 Spider, and then finally a decade-long time machine you may have heard of called the LFA. Having full reign over this project was his swan song, a culmination of boundaries pushed and broken his entire life. While piloting a prototype of the LFA Nürburgring edition in 2010, Naruse's son met his fate. And on that day, ripples of uncertainty were felt through the automotive world. 1 year later, that same car set a new production car lap record at the ring. Clearly, experience breeds greatness. To this day, he clocked more miles on the Nürburgring than any other Japanese driver. This was the final car he touched that wasn't spectacular, that wasn't an absolute icon left over in the automotive world that has gone up in value. Every car that he touched has shot up in value now. Every car that he touched has essentially doubled in value. Think of it, 2000 GT, AW11 MR2 to a certain extent, A80, the Mark IV Toyota Supra. Of course, that was one of the first Japanese cars to really skyrocket in value. You just have like this timeline of incredible, groundbreaking vehicles under his belt. And then you have this, which is a little bit of an oddball in the lineup, but it was Toyota's way one of Toyota's ways. Oh my God, Vantage in that color is spectacular. Of saying, we appreciate you. Yeah, not a slow car. Not a slow car at all. Definitely fast hatchback. Puts the power down nice. Good rotation. Pretty simple interior here. Pretty basic mid-2000s. It's definitely lost all of its homologation rally pedigree in terms of just aesthetic feel, especially when you get on the interior here. It's a cool looking car. I actually really enjoy how this car looks, especially from the front, the side profiles. But being a 4-speed auto, I mean, second gear, what are we at? 80 miles an hour, and you're still in second. So enthusiast dreams have kind of gone out the window here. The saving grace, though, is absolutely the all-wheel drive system, the Torsen LSD. A little bit of body roll. I think some of that absolutely has to do with the sidewalls of the tires here more than anything. But like I've said before, and I will say it again, the 3S is a great torquey mid-range type engine, okay? It's not a S2000, it's not an F20C, you know, rev the snot out of it to 9,000 RPM. It's not that. Again, taking it back to the Prius era, this was a trying time for Toyota's kind of motorsport enthusiast division, and it shows here. All right, you guys, we're here with Brantley. What's up, dude?
I don't know why I have a jacket on.
Well, I mean, you have a jacket on because it's incredibly cold out here in BC still, but the Caldina has nice interior warmth. So, Caldina, 2002 Caldina, is this your first JDM car? Like, why did you buy this car? What brought you to this car specifically? Because it's a very kind of out there, unique vehicle, right?
I had a Toyota Fun Cargo originally, and I thought it was neat. I wanted something that was a little bit more practical because that basically had the equivalent of a horse per wheel. Like, it had no power.
Yeah.
This kind of showed up. It wasn't listed on the market when I was looking for vehicles, and it seemed neat. 4-wheel drive, 4-cylinder turbo.
So what you were really looking for coming from the Fun Cargo is more power. More than anything.
Something with more power, 4-wheel drive also, and something that wasn't built like an eggshell.
Kind of scary.
Yeah, the worst experience in that car was driving over the Golden Ears Bridge when it was pretty windy out. And that's probably the worst car that I've been in. Like, you get blown by the wind a little bit and you can fully feel it.
If you had, I don't know, JDM world, like 20, 30K in a perfect world right now to spend on a second enthusiast car, what do you think you'd see yourself in? Oh, as we pass a R32 GTR, what are the chances?
I don't think I've seen that one here before, but nice. At the moment, I don't know. I like the Delicas.
What are some of the things you've noticed on this car that you did not expect, or that you had no idea, no one told you about, or the average person wouldn't know about?
I went into this not really knowing anything. I was surprised that it had a factory reverse camera and also the front blind spot camera as well. The lane assist is nice, and it's the same Toyota beeping that it does in newer ones as well. And the parking sensors also.
All right, well, sweet. Thanks, dude. Thanks for letting me drive it.
You're welcome.
Lots of fun. Yeah, for you guys who don't know, you're selling this car. This car's for sale.
Yeah.
If you're local to the BC area, if you're in the Lower Mainland, Vancouver, it is up right now, as of recording this video, for what I would consider a very reasonable price. But thanks, guys, for watching. You can hit me up on Instagram if you want and see what we're driving and shooting on a day-to-day basis. Subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, I'll see you very soon with, what do I have coming up? Some exciting stuff. I'll just leave it at that, okay? Keep you guys hanging. See you soon.